In this edition of Soloing Concepts, we're going to begin a limited series on articulation and expression. In spoken language, my native tongue being English, we convey our thoughts and our feelings in various ways by how we articulate and enunciate the words we say. And we use a certain tone to convey our thought or our feeling. Sometimes it's just kind of non-committal. Here I'm just talking about whatever it is, and there's really no conviction behind it. I'm just talking to talk. That's one way of doing it, right? Then if I'm sad, you'll hear that in my voice. I don't know why you did this to me. I really don't understand. And some things are conveyed visually as well. So in speaking with people, there are visual cues. Now with music, there are no visual cues. So it all has to be conveyed through the music itself, the notes that you choose to play, how you choose to play them. That's the articulation, which creates a certain tone, which is the expression. All right? This all may seem a little confusing, but all the great guitar players do this. So you want to learn to do this because it will separate you from the average guitar player. When you start putting these kinds of things into your music, it will start to have a life that is not very common to hear in a lot of today's music. All right? So let's just dive right in, get going, and you'll start to understand what we're talking about as we go. All right, let's go. All right, the first example is the bass line. This is the starting place. It's a typical way a person will play this lick. Okay, so that goes 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, that's the count. Now, in example B, we're going to start to alter not what is played, but the way it's played. So take a note of the red circled note, and in particular, the dot above that note. The dot is what we want you to pay attention to. That's a staccato mark. Staccato, in essence, is a note played and cut off quickly. You sound the note, and as soon as you sound it, you kill it. Now, we're bending this first note, so we're bending from 9 up to 11. So in this case, what we want you to do is bend the note up to the target note, and as soon as you achieve the note, cut off the sound, like that. Normally you go, right? Here we want you to go. So you'll notice there's that silence for the rest of the first beat, and that's exactly the point. It creates a different feel, okay? Now, the last note in example B, we're bending a quarter step. Each fret is a half step, right? Well, we're not bending a full half step. We're bending in between this note and that note. We're suggesting that note without actually achieving it. So when you bend, you pull the note sharp, but just a little. Not all the way up to that note, just somewhere shy of it. Okay? So the B example is played like this. Okay? 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Just like that. Now, let me play A and B back to back so you hear the difference. Pretty clear once you put them back to back, you hear what articulation is doing to change the sound, the expression of the lick. And that's the whole point. And it gives it a little bit more life as well. It's not so dry and ho-hum, right? So take advantage of the technology, i.e., if you need to rewind, pause the video, go back and watch the demonstration, the walkthroughs, listen to what the sound is between the two, the difference between them, learn to play the staccato bit, learn the quarter bend, get comfortable with them, and then pause the video, right? Practice them. And when you're ready to continue to move forward for the next bit, go ahead and press play and we'll get right on it. Okay, lick C is the same as the original lick. We're now just playing the first note instead of bending into the first note. Okay, now we can apply elements we learned in example B, staccato and a slight bend. Right? Gives it a little bit more life. Now, Eric Johnson does this thing where he uses all upstrokes on slower licks, so we could do that too. Now you can hear it's a little brighter sounding. Here's normal. Here's the upstrokes. A little bit different sound, and that's the idea. How you play, not what you play. Now, we can bring in elements from example B, staccato, and the slight bend. Okay, so have at it. So that's all upstrokes. In example D, we're going to slide into the first note and then slide the next couple of notes. Okay, now we can bring in the staccato and slight bend elements. We can do the upstroke thing. We can make those notes clean, right? Upstrokes. So how do you want to do it, right? And we can pull off. I didn't include that, yeah. So we can pull off. And there you go. That's the idea. Play around with the lick. Change the way you play it, the articulation, and that will change the expression, right? So pause the video, rewind if you want to walk through any of this, and pay attention, and then pause and try some of the stuff and get it clear in your head what the possibilities are, right? And then when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. For these next two examples, E and F, we're going to add the blue note, the flat 5 tone of the blues scale. All right? The first way we're going to go about it is we're going to slide into the note. It's the same lick, yes. Just slight variation. And so we can add the elements of example B. Gives it some life. Now, that note is a tension note, and that's what makes this kind of cool. It gives it a little bit different flavor. Now, yeah, we can pull off. We can do all upstrokes, right? However you want to do it. That's the idea. Okay? Now, in example F, we're going to bend into the blue note. And we can staccato that and bend that. Right? What do you want to do? We can even just play it. right? Take your pick. Have fun. Enjoy the process. That's the idea here. And that's part of the joy of discovery, right? So pause, rewind, review, go over them yourself after pausing the video to make sure you understand them, get them clear in your head, and then when you're ready to continue, we'll keep going. Okay, example G is a new lick. So here's how it goes. The count, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 E and a 3, 4. Just like that. All right. So pause the video, play through this, get the bass line clear in your head because we're going to do things to it. So when you start the video, we'll do just that. In example H, we're going to employ slides, both up and back in that first measure. Okay, now we can add staccato. Okay, we can hammer on and pull off. This is all how you articulate a lick to make it sound different than just playing it straight. You're not changing the notes in what you play, you're changing how you play the part. Okay, I've been saying this. I want to keep re-emphasizing that idea. Okay, pause the video, practice this. If you need to rewind and review, go ahead and do that. Then pause and practice, get it straight. And when you're ready to move forward, press play and we'll keep going. Here in example I, we're going to slow it down and explain the first measure a little bit because there are people here who may not be familiar with what's going on. So we don't want to leave anybody behind. So the first beat, we have a bend going on, but we're not just bending right away. It's a timed bend. You bend in time, in other words. So we start with the unbent note on 9, and that's 1. And then the and of 1 is the bend. So it goes 1 and, okay? Then on 2, you bring your little finger in here on the second string, and that's 2. But you keep this going and you let it ring out while you're playing that note. Because on beat 3, we're going to take advantage of this note being bent. And this is an invisible bend, a bend that's already there. And this is also a timed bend. 3 and 4. Okay? Here's how it goes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Now, the second measure here, we're playing it a little bit differently. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and. Now previously we said you don't change what you play, you just change how you play it. Well, here we're changing what you're playing, and so by necessity how you're playing it. This is preserving the essence of the idea, which was, well, here we're going. So you can hear they sound similar. They're a little different, and it does preserve the essential idea. So we're just modifying it a little, but not so much that it completely disconnects from the previous sound of the lick. So we're preserving the essence of the lick, we're just altering it a little bit. So here's the whole thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and. All right? So here's what you do. Pause the video, rewind, review, listen carefully, pause the video, play it yourself. If you need to check, rewind and replay so you can check to hear that it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. Okay? Then, when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. Here in example J, we have a new lick. So here's how it goes. 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1. One more time. 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1. All right, so what you want to do, pause the video. If you need to rewind and review, that's fine. Then pause, play through this, count it out as you play, take your time, and get it right, get it smooth, get it flowing. And when you're ready to continue, press play, and we'll start doing stuff to it. All right, here in example K, we are going to add 2 pull-offs. We're going to do it on the 3rd string at 12 to 10, and then on the 4th string at 12 to 10. And it's on the 2nd half of the 2nd beat. So 2 E and then 3 E and So it's the same place in the beat as well on 2 and 3. Here's how it sounds. 1, 2, and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1. Okay, now you probably heard me bend that note, the next to the last note on the 8th fret of the 5th string. I'm not quite bending up to 9, that note. I'm bending a quarter just like before to suggest that, but not quite that. Right? 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1. Okay? So, pause the video, rewind if you need to review, and listen carefully, then pause and practice this. When you're playing faster licks, there's a little less stuff you're able to do, but there are things you are able to do, and we'll show you some of that once you press play and keep going. So the second thing we're going to do as a variation here on example L is we're going to slide into the note instead of bending, like so. Now you have options. Lead with your first, or if you're more comfortable with that. It's up to you. Okay, now we can add those pull-offs from earlier and the slightly bent next to the last note. Again, it's all up to you how you want to approach this, right? So pause, rewind if you want to review, then pause again, practice this new idea, and get it clear, get it smooth, add the pull-offs, and just kind of build the elements in there, right? And make it happen. Okay, and when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. All right, here in example M, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to change to a more vertical motion, not so much horizontal. Okay, so we're making it a little brighter sounding by staying on the brighter strings. So at the end, you hear how much bassier and round that is versus that versus that. You can hear a very clear difference, very distinct difference. And that's part of why sometimes we move licks vertically instead of horizontally across the neck. And now you can add hammer-ons and pull-offs. Right? So you go hammer, pull, hammer, pull, hammer, like that. I know none of this is written on the chart, but it becomes kind of common sense where hammer-ons can be done, right? That's the whole idea. So pause the video, rewind, review this, watch it again. That's the beauty of video, because if it isn't written, it's demonstrated. You can see it. I walked through it a little slower so you can see where I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm telling you where I'm doing it and when I'm doing it. Okay? So then pause the video after reviewing and walk through it and see if you can play it, right? And then when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. In this example, yes, it still says M, but you'll notice right above the tablature, I've inserted palm mute. So you're going to mute the run right after the bend. And you're going to do that palm muting. So you're going to take this part of your palm and lay it right in front of the string, the bridge pieces, excuse me, the bridge saddles. And this way you'll be able to create. You can still hear pitch, but the notes are choked off very quickly. So it's also very staccato. But pizzicato is technically what this is. For guitar, I call it a fake pizzicato because it's not a true pizzicato. True pizzicato is plucked strings with your fingers. Well, we have frets, so it doesn't accomplish the same effect. So, okay, so here's how it works. You let the bend ring out, and then as you play the next note, you put your palm down on the strings. Right? And that's the whole idea. You can hear those notes very clean, very clear. This is a great technique. This is a great expression and articulation thing. It's an old technique. It's not used a lot anymore, and that's to the greater shame of all of us as players. It's a wonderful technique, one you should embrace. So go ahead and pause, rewind if you want to watch and listen to what it's supposed to sound like, then pause and practice this yourself. Get it sounding nice and clear and clean, and be able to still hear pitch even though it dies fairly quickly. So you don't want your hand too far onto the strings. You want it just off the bridge. Okay? So when you're ready to continue, restart the video and we'll do just that. New lick. In example N, you'll see the metric modulation there. That's telling you this is a shuffle feel. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. Okay, there it is. Pause the video, rewind if you want to listen to it again. Pause, practice this, get it clean, then we'll start doing stuff to it. And when you're ready to do that, press play and we will do just that. Here in example O, we're going to reintroduce the staccato mark. All right, so it's played 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. So this actually helps create a little more bounce by creating that separation between the beat and the end of the beat. Versus so it makes it a little more lively. And that's the whole idea. So pause the video, rewind if you want to review, then pause and practice this. Remember, shuffle, feel. And when you're ready to continue, we'll keep going. Our final example is example P. In this example, we're going to use a rake to start this lick off. If you've taken our step-by-step into soloing course, you've been exposed to the rake and how to play it. If you don't know what a rake is, we're going to explain it real quick here. Basically, your first finger is across the first 3 strings of the 3rd fret, and that's the motion. It's kind of a sweep motion. Okay? But it's not that slow. It's rather quick. Now, what I'm doing is I'm torquing my wrist a little bit, so I silence the first 2 notes by the time I get to the high E string note. Right? That's the whole idea. I don't always do it correctly, but it doesn't matter if it's... That's okay. That's preferred, of course. Okay, so we go 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4, right? So you'll notice I'm doing the staccato bit on the 1st and 3rd beat of each of the measures, except the last measure. 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and. So I'm bending that note, that quarter step, not up to the 3, just suggesting it. Now, you can staccato the first beat of both measures and play the 3rd beat regular. Up to you. All right? So, press pause. Rewind if you need to review and listen. Then pause again. Play through this. Practice this. Practice it till you got it down. See what else you can do with it to make it work. Maybe there's some hammer-ons that you can do or pull-offs. Add those in there. See how they sound. Play with the articulation, how it's expressed, okay? Then, when you're ready to continue and wrap things up, press play and we'll do just that. All right, there you go. Lesson 1 in articulation and expression. I know we gave you a lot of material to go over, and we really do want you to go over this material. Really study it. This is important because articulation and expression are 2 elements that are not present in too many guitar players' vocabulary. I've heard and played with thousands of guitar players. Most of them do not employ these things in their playing unless it's by accident. And even then, they don't have that aha moment. Oh, what did I do there? That was cool. And then they start bringing it in. Well, they don't do that. I listen to guitar players, and when somebody started articulating and expressing themselves as if in a spoken language way, I thought, oh, this is amazing. What are they doing? And I started to study that and learn that and apply it. It's a great thing to have to bring into your playing so that you are really talking to people through your music and communicating, and they're hearing, and their heart is understanding, and that's what matters, right? Okay, that'll do for this lesson. There's more ahead, of course, and when you're ready for the next one, we'll be there. See you then. Hey, thanks for watching. If you press the little red button down there in the corner, you'll be subscribed to Outsmart Your Guitar. If you then hit the notification bell, you'll be informed when we upload new material, which is usually around once a week. Below the video in the description, you will see a link that will take you to where you can download a PDF of the lesson material that accompanies this video. All lessons contain a link to give you access to the written material for that lesson. Below that, you will see a link to Patreon Outsmart Your Guitar, where I have a lot of material that isn't included here. So you may want to check that out. There's 2 levels of subscription. I'd really appreciate if you would become a patron by subscribing at one of the 2 levels and help support my efforts to continue to provide high quality lesson material for you, to help you learn, play, and grow to become the guitar player you desire to be. All right. Thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And hey, we'll see you soon.